You keep thinking he's just using some time. It's not just the illuminating touch. It's just like the sun. Legend of the God of Light. When practicing to the extreme mind, we can use the same power as the sun. The devil doesn't believe him. The photographer doesn't understand. Then say, this world turns out to be made up of these practices. The soul of man is to take it as the basis for cultivation. I thought I'd keep control. Borrowing the power of the black Quan, we can still explain. And the many secrets of the law. More. And then she kept touching the hot sphere. He looked at his hand and said, it turns out that this is the essence of the law of power. You say, magic is not a force born of nature. There was once a great power, displaying mysterious civilizations around the world, from which the practices are developed. Keep the world moving. These practices, it's like the word long binds the whole world. So in here, I want to break the legend. It is imperative to practice the practice of sustained force. That while we met the grace of grace, we learned the France in love spirit magic from which to break the limit into another realm. I've cultivated other powers higher in the world. So solving the Kai method is very simple. The dance above is amazing. Why does he know how to write illuminations? There was a moment. He's got the light and the law. You panic, you can't imagine. The photographer here is having fun. It's interesting to say that this source of power. You think again, their nature is also just illusory. That the person who arranged these civilizations may be compared to my previous life, much stronger. I laughed and said there is light and there is darkness. Logically, try the dark structure. Then you try again. A force that continues to explode. I was amazed to say, this is impossible. The photographer's hands have two pairs of forces. Light and darkness. The photographer found it hard to understand. What is Kwang's intention to fake magic creation? To practice the Kai method. It's possible to break the legend. Reach to heaven. But this kind of power is what makes the world perfect. To close, you said, fake cultivation of the whole world. Even if the super Vietnamese legend reaches the peak of the wind, because of the limitations of physical force, they can't override the rule of law. To another world. Look at the two hands. You said walk away thinking these things won't work. The dance is now panicked to the extreme. AI has never been able to hold two kinds of rules before. He's learned touch from the very beginning. It only takes a few hours to control the new rules. Look at him and tell him what he is. The photographer was surprised to ask the goddess. Dance answered no. There is nothing the photographer can hear. So we continue to practice. Transferring to the tribe of heaven. What are you screaming for? Why did only you show up? He said that if that man died in the black, let their owners know. Some of my friends are afraid to say no. There is no undead man. He told me he could be like that. It's like that? What did you say in surprise? He even came to the show. Can solve SAO. Looks like it's been prepared. A bearded man who said, he even forced me to twist the rope for tens of thousands of hours. Through the swamp. The martial artist asked in surprise. He wants to go to the bottom of the black hole. SAO. Worried about it. It's not like you're dead. SAO martial arts answer. I hope you guys have a god. The photographer is still crazy. Absorb the magic of light and darkness. The dance has been over 20 days. His body has reached the rank of Black Kim. The photographer finally opened his eyes. and start swimming to the shore. I think if we continue to use the technique to train the body, say not, it can also make the body reach the rank of legend again. Hold tight your hands, happily said. The body of great protection of fate without worry. She shook her head and sighed and thought. A month has not yet come. His understanding of the law. It is higher than me. We have to believe that. Then you come closer. He called out to the renegade. What way do you mean? I laughed a little and laughed happily. You finally believe me. The composition of the actual Kai power practice. It's a few words. Spiritual practice. It means that, to capture the illiteracy of a system. You explain, God's way of crumbling. It means that, the magic of the civilization was scattered. We just need to go against the rules of the Bible. Your body will slowly become stronger. The power of fire in the sky. He will return to the body of the Lord. I also understood that it was a little sad to say. The rules turned out to be the civilizations. Star photographer landing. Whatever it is, you just need to know. So we can duplicate Shou's body, that's all. Dance thought and said. That's why you want to write. Into my body. SAO photographer confirms exactly what. Although by that time, the law will automatically be directed to billions. You say, the scope of VI is limited to always being in this black quan. Wait for the Kai power rule to dry up. The speed of physical reproduction will be extremely slow. You said if you could travel everywhere. I believe that. The speed of the physical opposite will be much faster. Dance is worried. But we just need to get out of the black hole. We'll be discovered by the legendary beast below. Based on the force in front of me, there's no way to fight them. She added, even if the soul comes back. My body has only the level of legend. The photographer confidently said, there is no way to get out of the black hole. I was surprised to ask if you had a way. Photographer replied, now I hold in my hands the power. We can use the words to create a strategy. Simulate the gas of billions. You explain, enveloping an extra layer of gas, the essence of the billion. There is something. You have to make the gods a little bit more submissive. Then the dance decided to say, you can do it. Dance said, related to the survival of our people. It doesn't hurt to suffer more. Let's start freeing us. The Lord answered me down here. So she took a deep breath. Then put your head in the water. The photographer swam deep down, to the place of the disgrace of dance. Harry, close your eyes, and then we start to kickstart the rule. The power in his hand lit up. A ring of light radiating from the fingers. The dance felt a cry. I can only see that the hand of the photographer never ceases to shine. Manifestation runs into the body of the universe. The dance is constantly moving. Make the photographer look shy. Think stop moving, shy too. After the first wave, the photographer's eyes lit up again. You say, the first religion succeeded the second. Time goes on and on. There's a fire in the sky right now. An hour like a falling asteroid. The forest has burned a large area. It's a child, but it's actually a demon. Some people showed up at the hole. Beneath the hole is a baby. Take the baby home and take care of it. The girl asked her husband what he should call her. The husband replied, let us call it a dance. Happy women shout. Dance with me. You have to grow up quickly. Then the dance is growing. He eventually became the god he is today. This is the life story of Vu Dim. He said this is the memory of the universe. That's what you said. She's from the sky. Fall into this world. It's out of my range of perception. With my back observing in her body. Except for the 2 lines that regenerate the skin. There seem to be 5 lights. 5 This ray of light broke out, and the photographer was turned off. Oh, it hurts. This is where the life of the universe lies. I think it's more magical than firebending. Look out, just 5 rays don't disappear. Even if you lose your magic power, you will not die. I think on Dance Goddess Deem. She's got such a big secret on her. Later research. You should still help her heal. It continues to inspire a new culture. The words kept coming up all over the body. Quickly, the last rays of civilization collapsed through one. Then appeared. The photographer planted success and said success. Fire magic is pouring in. Photographer swims out sighing. I think my magic power is almost gone. You can be tired. She looked at the body of the dancer. It's now completely recreated. The dance above also feels amazing. That said, he really succeeded. And under the water, the bubbles keep boiling. The Buddha gave the orb containing the body of the Buddha. Fly up. His body appeared in front of the dance floor. And then the 2 gradually converge. The photographer just looks at this scene. Then a halo of light came out. Dance, speak up. I thank you for helping me recover my body. Body state. It's much better than my prediction. The photographer is also in a hurry right now, came up on the water and said, "How don't be rude. Then you said you were sleepy. They use too much power. Silence for a moment and then talk. I owe you some love. You look so small as a spirit." She said if you need any help in the future, feel free to speak up. The queen replied to the goddess of mercy. We're just mortals with a god behind us. He laughed and said that later we would be able to go straight ahead. Dance replied to him. I asked you what else you need to back up. I have to lift up thanks to you. What should be done next? Dan says, Hoa Kai, the rules around this are basically being sucked out by us. Then, my body was also able to function normally. She laughed and said she should leave. The photographer said, if you want to leave, you have to bother the goddess. Listen to me arrange. The photographer said no. The breath of the beloved can be sniffed. That we live our lives. The Lord replied, I understand that I have listened to you. The photographer was busy with clothes and talking. If we continue, we will use the dark arts to illustrate illustration. Then the sclera rises on the male. This will be able to cover the air of billions. And then, let the goddess suffer. Trying to shrink my body hiding in my arms. You have to collect all the things you wear. Things that are reused in one place. Use more fire Kai rolls of billion. Arrange a French civilization. Use this strategy to hide the gas of billions. Make amusing given that male is still here. The photographer confidently said, I'll paint the image of the manuscript. 10 billion words. I understand, and let me prepare. So the dance is quickly getting ready. A moment later, the body of the universe appears. The photographer confirms the perfection so that the layout is suitable. Please hurry up and shrink the body. I agree with that, tell the photographer. Although we can shrink the body to about a chain. But your arms are too narrow. And then the dance's body gets smaller. And go straight into the sleeve of the photographer. I can see the dance moving endlessly. That's a reminder of the female goddess. Don't mess up in there. We have to hold hands to keep the darkness alive. Stable writing. That is, she clasped tightly to the photographer's arm and agreed. Photographer laughed softly. I think it's probably not very comfortable. Then I think we're uncomfortable. Then the photographer moved his hand on it. Dance is covered by the entire body. She thought she had succeeded. My air. It's actually covered by this. The law of force was not long ago understood. But he used it so well. You feel like an angel. What's his background after all? The photographer here said, let's go. The regent and the goddess started out. Out of the cave I looked. Up the cliff and thought the cave door was gone. Suddenly, the roar echoed through. Photographer scared gagged. Is the roar of love so loud? Deep down, Kier's full of danger. Fortunately, they're not up here. The Lord tells us to be careful too. She hugged me for an hour and held her breath. The photographer carefully crawled up the cliff. Aesthetic photography is unexpected. I thought I'd find some treasure. It brings a goddess back. How much time do you think we're spending? It seems to have gained a lot. In the tribe of heaven. Into a very crowded tribe. She looked out of her shirt and asked the goddess. Billion. Tell me, how many tribes exist in the human world? I wonder how many people are lucky to survive. I don't know either. He continued in the first war. We have won the victory. But the animals now have a new spirit. Dape is right. People also fall into disintegration. He added that it would probably be destroyed. My people thought at first. Kwang Wei Kai City is the residence of people already exist. Dean said that now the human race is superior to the animal. Just for a short time, they want to destroy the human race. All the gods have blood vessels. They're scattered throughout the world's resources. I saw Harry talking alone. Someone is surprised to look at you. Vu immediately hid in his shirt and continued to fight in the master world. The rest of the people are nothing. You say like, humans still hold a lot of the world's resources. And in those worlds, they grow. Waiting for Dong's sun to reappear. Surprised, the photographer asked, oh, there's this. She replied that humans have some super gods. They've taken a kind of mind called the occult. That the nuclei set up boundaries in those resources. You say it's been growing for thousands of years. Even now, the spirit of the entire human race has died. The most favored of all, don't kill. Those worlds, in the human race of mixed descent. In the chaos of the mighty dark spirit. You look at me. In there, not to mention the more psychopathic powers. Their world is there's a subtype of the occult. As a protective saint. The spirit of love if you want to attack. All will be destroyed. Mess God. It is also the most mysterious of the gods. I have seen God's way of breaking. Maybe he has a way to recover. The photographer asked, so can we humans go to that world? Dance replied, maybe we just need to find the diamond dream. The photographer asked the dream of Kai Ji. The answer comes from the dream of the world. She explained, it's a completely independent world resource. The animals are difficult to get into. The 4 seasons are like spring. Rich and plentiful. Space is only slightly smaller than the world's host. She poked her head out and said more. Use of zigzags. Into the battle of the world dream. Only a few of our gods can hold it. The surprised photographer asked. Then where is the dream of Kai Stone? Dance Deem replied, to prevent severing the relationship between the dream of the world and the master of the world. The gods of love has plundered the vast majority of the dream Kai Stone. Maybe only in few new human relics have it two pieces. She continued, but there's another place where there's more. There's more. You say my space ring. Just find it. You can enter the dream world. Surprised photographer asked the space ring. In my heart, I think the spirit's ring is probably filled with treasures. You said before my way was broken. I've hidden the ring thousands of miles away. I thought for thousands of miles. I don't know if it's still there. She said she was a little far from the goddess. If you have a chance, move on. FLIs, you say, there's something right that's very hopeful. FLIs think that even though the SAO of the past life, not only didn't I haven't heard of it. Laughing dance, haha. He said we should leave quickly. And hear more. It can be dangerous for the tribe's destiny. The photographer landed down the mountain. Suddenly, there was a voice calling for the Prince Regent. Hear that call? It's crazy. He shouted to ask where the photographer was. I heard him ask a guy to speak. How dare we fool you, young master? Then ask the team name. The cowboy had also contributed to what I asked the people in town. He really showed up for a short time. Crazy wonder say. You can live in the dark for so long and come back. How did it end up? I am proud to say. He's such a non-trivial person, of course. I am also assured. Quickly give orders to the people. The next step is voting. We're moving to Kwangwi Kai City. The crowd excitedly replied yes. To the photographer in a forest. The photographer is swinging like a toothpick. He laughed with a confident face. Out in the wilderness, there's a legendary guardian guru. Finally, there's no need to worry. Inside the chest of the photographer, the Lord asks where you are going next. The photographer stopped on a tree and then asked her, do you know the TSA? Sister Goddess. He laughed and said, I've been dead for 100,000 years. You shouldn't ask me this question. The photographer jumped up and said, ha, we are all confused. He added, but the SA is a little far away. To go back and forth for a trip that's dark. The guild has fought here. Ask the Dark Lord. Photographer explains the Dark Guild. He is the enemy of Kwangwi Kai City. They look like this and see that. You've told a lot of bad stories about the Dark Order of Ra. And then he laughed and said, there's an underground map. Let's take a look. But when I look down, I get a little startled. Dance is very angry. To face the intimidation of the beast. About to be destroyed, but I'm not afraid to deal with people of the same race. Slaughtering each other. If we catch them, we will personally kill them. Photographer, sweating SAO. The goddess is more angry than I am. Must have been through the same thing. Thought you said. Their power cannot be underestimated. We use all our power. Launch 10,000 ghosts, love spirit. He also injured Long. I am a little worried about the owner you mentioned. Bigger and stronger, the photographer confirmed. He said he is now in hiding. I'm afraid I've been exposed to the law of force. He is now destined to become a god. Then, the city will be captured by them. Open a map of Ra and say it's here. Look at the stream. I'm glad you can find this kind of entrance. It really is you, old master. They went down into the cave. And then you have to go, because of the length of the cave. Go deep inside. I thought to myself, there's a movement on this wall made by Ra. You say that in this dark place, it's too hidden. Even if there is no secret base, there are treasures. Dance heard that ask, do you like going to places like this? Looking for treasure? She jumped down a step. Then I was stunned to see the scene in front of me. You said there's a lot of human remains. Go straight ahead. You just said there was a war here. People just hit back. A path that runs down to the depths of the cave. I look around you wondering. But this path is AI's way of doing it. You can't see the destination after miles. Just finished. The photographer's face was attached to a boundary. Dance tells you, lower level borders don't work for us. That's the dance. Put your hands on the border. Then the boundary was removed as the celestial regent with. Across the border, the photographer exclaimed, how much more can the goddess help pull? The dancer laughed at one thing. The photographer can continue. The boundary behind, it's definitely the underground world. Storm up. But it hasn't gone very far. Then she's stuck her face in the next frontier. He said indignantly, why would someone draw a line in the middle of the road? This 7 German thing, it's definitely the dark society. Yeah, but at the end of the road, in front of the photographer, it's a tunnel with red light. Ahead is a sea of fire. The devil is also tired of this game. But what I mean by that is the area. The surprised photographer asked again. Then the horse quickly fled in. In the chest of the photographer. He said he had to hide first. The photographer is confused. This place is so bad. Vu Deem replied, in this world, in addition to race and love, there are many other races. There are a lot of strong people among them. They also divide boundaries. Form some big forbidden places, Min. This area is one of the 3 forbidden areas of the world. By the false power enlightened by Min Kai Dharma practice occupied. She hugged his hand tightly. I don't know what race he is. The power is so strong that the gods must. I was surprised that the photographer asked so loudly. You're lucky that these races are neutral. Just don't touch their interests. They're not going to do it. She also reminded me to act carefully. The photographer also understands. So the photographer jumped straight down. He dropped 2 feet down. The whole body was immediately shaken. The heat makes you scream, oh oh. You said the dark society was founded in this place. Just hang around for a while. Inside the church, she said, just now, from a distance, I saw the castle come to that side first. To go a little, then I heard the footsteps coming. Surprised by the cold. You said they were. You said it was a dark spirit. Looks like we've been working undercover. Dance asked. Golden rank. You can handle it yourself, Reggie. Laughing, of course. That's when the dark spirits came. The photographer turned himself into a tiger. Dance is amazing. When I saw that the photographer's arms had grown, they were covered in bare hair. He unleashed a bold aura of light. 2 streams of power divided, coming from the front and the back. The dark elves. I saw 2 streams of yin and yang coming. Turn the car away immediately. 2 air currents touching each other. And then there's a big explosion. The spirits right now was flown straight out. Some even fly in front of their friends. Make the Kier afraid. And then they all ran away. You see, the glass is cold. Then go back to the enemy. Dancing in the Sleeves says, "This is how you fight." It's interesting. Using the power of love, there is also the law of Kai. The photographer laughed even more. 2 rules that we hold. It is very suitable for my soul. That's what gives rise to our skills. Dance of praise with your grace. Say not, he can be the savior of mankind. He paused and said he had to go back. To be the savior. Then you keep moving forward. Some time later, the photographer arrived at the Blackstone City. Blackstone City, it is one of the 15 largest cities in the world. All races reside here. The protection of the underworld in the Dark Ages. The next generation of humans are also here to maintain their lineage. Now the people also become one of the 12 most important races in the world. Not being hunted by the animals anymore. But there are also forces in the city. Fighting in the dark. Dark Guild. It's one of the forces of humanity. In the city of Blackstone, the Korean has also come here. He was wearing a black cloak. He looked around. This place is quite peaceful. IP Han is angry. Think not to discover the man of the evil guild, hated. He was nervous thinking. Not only does it not die, the gods are destroyed. I can't go back to Kwangwi Kai City now. There is no god in the Dark Kingdom. I can't accept myself either. He laughed at the evil thought. Don't blame me. Selling intelligence of Kwangwi Kai Than for the king of demons, even if we have to survive for them. To defeat Kwangwi Kai City. He dropped his beer and got up and left. Just wait and see what's mine. Sooner or later, they will be able to steal it. While the photographer was walking around the city, then outside there are also 2 members of the Dark Lord. The devil asked the police, "Are we being attacked by the Han Yi? Why is the apricot still alive?" The devil is angry and says he is harming God.